has done most of the damage. It's been between the hash marks over the middle where he's thrown the ball on a line. When he's tried to go outside, that ball's tended to float, and the reads have been a little late, and that's what's resulted in the 2 interceptions. So keep it between the hash marks if you can.
Moving now into a pistol formation from the 46. On the play action, low throw and complete to Ruiz. Ruiz at 6'5", a senior from Othello. 7:29 to play in the second. That pass to Ruiz went for 15 yards. The longest play from scrimmage so far, 18 yards. Came on an 18-yarder to Meredith. Whitworth very balanced in its receiving core. 4-man rush. Throw over the middle, up in the air, and almost intercepted. 7 completions for Erickson, 2 to Corona, and then get this, 1 to Meredith, 1 to Hall, 1 to Ruiz, 1 to Colsty, 1 to Cole.
We've seen that. Erickson has done a fantastic job of spreading the wealth with the receiving core. But you look at that last throw, the passing game, that ball's a little high, it's catchable, but it's wet, and it just went right through the wicket of the receiver.
15 different Pirates have caught passes going into this game this season. High throw, they almost jumped around for the interception, got a hand on it, and pass incomplete. That was Abe Smith, the junior safety, coming in and jumping the route.
George Fox being aggressive defensively. We've seen it, both teams are saying we're going to be aggressive, make you do a quick decision at quarterback and get you in that non-comfort zone.
Erickson now 7 for 16 for 71 yards. His completion percentage coming into this year, surprisingly relatively low, 53%. That's 10% lower than a year ago when he completed 63%. This one out of bounds. We'll see where they spot this. It's not going to be good for Whitworth as George Fox will get to take over from its own 30-yard line when we come back from the Pine Bowl. 6-0 Bucks in a defensive stalemate.
Whitworth's Office of Alumni and Chamber Relations would like to welcome Whitworth alums and families to the alumni tent during halftime to enjoy fresh refreshments and a chance to visit with other Whitworthians. Go Bucks. Whitworth football would like to thank the following sponsors for the 2019 season: Pepsi, the American Credit Union of this day, Rental Motors, Geico Insurance, Wendy's and the Wendy's student section, Quality in Oakwood, Protein Box, Spokane Transit, American Medical Response, LJ Oil, McLean's Pizzeria, BSN Sports, Alpha Omega Tours and Charters, Inland Empire Utility Coordinating Council, and Rain and Associates.
Today's football coverage on SWX being brought to you by Inland Power and Light Company, owned by those we serve. Pine Bowl not the only place hosting some sports action here this afternoon. Just across the way, soccer being played as well. They're warming up. Tell you what, sports are year-round, regardless of the weather in the Inland Northwest. George Fox trying to find its light offensively, trailing by 6, starting from its own 30-yard line. They'll go to the ground, and you get the feeling, Mike Peterson, George Fox's strategy might be this: run the ball up the middle, Run the ball up the middle. Rinse and repeat. And at some point, we saw it on third down before, take the shot downfield.
Yeah, now this time, instead of passing, and the five-step drop variety as well, instead of passing on first down, they ran. George Fox, 12, before that last play, 12 carries, -3 yards. Now, a couple of those have come on sacks, but their running game has yet to get untracked.
Whitworth flashing blitz. Carry on the outside. Ethan Kassabaum, late flag comes in on the Whitworth sideline.
Yeah, that is, you can't have those drive assisting penalties if you're Whitworth. You've got 3rd and long, and then you do a silly late hit out of bounds on the sideline.
Personal foul, late hit out of bounds on defense, number 53. The 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Pirates, Mike, a week ago, season high 16 penalties, and this is something they can ill afford to do today.
Well, there's the drive killers offensively. I call them the drive enhancers that help the offense. And big assists there. George Fox has been third down conversions. George Fox has yet to convert a third down. 0 for 6. That would have been 3rd and long. And you give them a gift of a first down with just losing your composure and losing your head on the sideline.
Whitworth having to do a lot of shifting on a defensive line. Doesn't matter. They're all over the running back there. Good stop again by McCoy. 2 sacks and now a tackle for loss.
Whitworth is known for this swarming defense. And look at that. You've got look at all that penetration by that swarming fast defense.
Gunnar Swanik, who had an interception last week, initially got his hands wrapped around. They might be able to share that tackle for loss there. Loss of 3, 2nd down and 13 coming up. Boy, Mike, all I can say is thank goodness for this field turf we have here. With these conditions, with the old natural grass, we might be in the mud bowl this afternoon.
And that's what we used to call it on days like this. It was not the Pine Bowl. It was very soupy, the mud soup variety.
This is no walk in the park today, but all things considered, the field is going to hold up well. And outside of the rain and the cold, no wind, and the grass really, of course, it's not grass, has not been impacted. 3rd down and 14 coming up.
What has is the wet ball coming out of the hand of both quarterbacks. It's affected the passing game.
On the rush and on the run. Getting the first down. Some heads up running there by Jaden Sheffy. We talked about the mobility of the quarterback could be key this afternoon.
Whitworth, for the most part, has kept him in the pocket today, but there you see, outside edge contain is lost, and then the speed, no one is able to get a line on him to the outside.
16 yards on that run, out of bounds to the Whitworth 39. Rod Sandberg, defensive-minded coach, needs another stop from his Buck D. A lot of attention being commanded to the running back, and the quarterback, Sheffy, obliges by keeping it.
Well, that's twice Sheffy's been able to get to the outside edge, and pretty respectable gains in both regards. Now with the wide side of the field to the left, you wonder if you come back to that same read option to the left side of the field.
Mike, Sheffy has now almost run for as many yards as he's thrown for. 17 yards rushing, 19 passing. 2nd down and 6. This time they do go to the running back. It's, Matthew Fiesta, it was Kassabaum with the run.
And that little surge at the end keeps George Fox away from another 3rd down, which has just been a troubling down for him today. So that creates a first down.
First and 10 from the Pirate 29.
This is perhaps where you try to take a shot with the passing game.
Sheffy keeps it on the run back to the line of scrimmage.
Sheffy, the ball carrier, for a short gain.
There was one-on-one coverage by the Pirate defense on that play, and that's where I was thinking, especially before you get in the red zone and it gets too tight to throw a longer ball down there. I thought that was a really good down if you want to take your shot in the end zone. This is still a good down to take the shot in the end zone, but 2nd and 10, defense may not be in man-to-man defense now.
2nd down, 10 yards to go.
They're not. They're in a too-deep zone.
Cassabom, the blocking back this time. Throw downfield. And incomplete. Lot of contact. I feel like that could go either way, Mike. It seemed that the offense was just as much a guilty party as the defense there.
Yeah, what I think happened, what both refs saw is you've got contact. It's incidental, but the Whitworth defender did not get his head around and play the ball and wrap the receiver.
Pass interference, defense, number 39. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, automatic first down.
So when we look at the replay, you can see contact, incidental, but receiver for Whitworth doesn't get his head around, and you see he just grabs jersey instead of going for the ball.
Now, his head was in the receiver's armpit. I mean,
you've got that height mismatch, so what do you do?
I think it's a no flag. I think in that case, I think it's just two guys going for the football there. But I don't have a penalty marker. From the 13. Pirates made a stop deep inside their own territory before.
Sheffy, the ball carrier.
So Sheffy, about a 1-yard loss there.
I think the run game is going to be difficult to establish here inside the red zone for George Fox. I think your go-to play is you got to look for a fade route to number 4, big number 4, the 6'3" freshman.
They brought in Ian Johnson, a 6'1" tight end, number 42 from Nikiski, Alaska.
One-on-one, top of the screen.
Up the middle, up to the 10, down shy of the 9-yard line.
He's able to snake his way through. Didn't look like anything was there, Sam, but you talk about a running back getting big when you need to, getting skinny. He got skinny and just snaked his way through for a decent game.
Loudest we've heard this crowd yet.
Well, with that blocked field goal earlier, if you're George Fox, you may be thinking, okay, I don't need to get it all here. Are they thinking 4-down territory or try to get in the end zone right now?
3rd and 7 from the 10. They'll run the option. Brought down inside the 10, down at the 8.
Sheffy, the ball carrier, tackled on the play by Bryce Hornbeck.
Hornbeck, the defensive back, got a shoulder on him to chip away at him. Another look, Mike.
Just good
Another
speed.
form, right?
Yeah, good speed on the defense. And George Fox is saying, hey, with the clock winding down, let's try to get some momentum going into half. George Fox will get the ball to open the second half on the kickoff.
4th and 6 from the 9.
They're going to need to call a timeout.
They're going to have to use their last timeout, Mike. So they took it down to 27 seconds. No reason to think, Mike, that they might consider bringing out a kicker here?
We shall see. But it's a tough angle now as well because you're on that far right hash mark. That's a difficult angle, and in these conditions, it's doubly difficult.
I mean, if you can't kick a field goal now, though, in a 6-0 game, when can you?
Exactly, but you've got the difficult angle.
Yeah.
You've already had a kick blocked.
Yep.
And it's 50-50, flip a coin. I can see the merits to both.
Now you are, Mike, in this case, you put the offense on the field. You're basically abandoning your kicky game from here on out, right? I mean, you're going all in on your offense.
Exactly, because you don't have the confidence you can get those 3 points on the board.
Going all in here on 4th and 6. 27 seconds to play before halftime. Empty backfield. Rush coming over the middle. It was tipped and incomplete. And a turnover on downs.
And Whitworth being incredibly aggressive with the defensive call.
Mike, how many times today have we seen a blitz come on 3rd and now 4th down?
Repeatedly. And the defensive game plan is force the quarterback to make a quick decision and read, and it's paid off handsomely for the Whitworth D.
It was Gunnar Swanek who came in on the edge, the linebacker on the blitz. Whitworth will line up in a victory formation down the football here. 6 points might be enough.
And defensively, Whitworth going to that man-to-man defense. So trust in their defensive coverage and pressure from the blitz. Drive stopper.
An offense that has scored 150 points over its last 2 games, has 6 points through 2 quarters, but leads by 6. As we go into the locker room at halftime, it's Whitworth 6, George Fox nothing. Home cooking being put on in rainy conditions here in the Pacific Northwest. We're back with your halftime show from the Pine Bowl after this.
First, we got to start with kind of the hardball questions, though. First, like, where did you get those wheels?
So they're my buddies. This is my buddy's hand-me-down scooter. So yeah,
Okay.
after he tore his Achilles and got his situation all figured out, he passed it down to me, which is so much better than the crutches because
Yeah.
you know they just get a little burn and they're smudged.
Welcome back to the Pine Bowl. It's our halftime report on SWX, powered by Fastenal. Proud to support our local athletes. And one of those local athletes, Tariq Ellis, sidelined for the year with a ruptured Achilles before the season even started. Devastating injury for him. And folks, we at SWX can relate. In fact, we lost our own Joe McHale, one of our sports anchors, to a ruptured Achilles himself just 2 weeks before that. So the two decided to walk the length of the field on scooters to talk about their common thread.
First, we got to start with kind of the hardball questions though. First, like, where did you get those wheels? For
Oh,
your
so
scooter?
they're my buddies. This is my buddy's hand-me-down scooter. So yeah,
Okay.
after he tore his Achilles and got his situation all figured out, he passed it down to me, which is so much better than the crutches because
Yeah.
you know they just get a little burn and they're much slower. So,
Yeah.
so that's how.
You're making me look kind of silly here. I mean, the rims on that thing, how many inches are those?
I have no idea. I have yet to ask, but man, they really come in handy when going down any turn. There's a hill down there that I just ball down every time I go see my friends.
In all seriousness, though, your injury.
Yeah.
Terribly sorry that it happened to
Yeah,
you.
of
I
course.
feel your pain.
Yeah, of course,
literally.
literally.
And just curious, maybe tell me the story. Take me back to mid-August when it happened.
So I was just doing regular back drills that I've done since, I don't know, like six years old. Just back drills for football. And then coming up, I was hopping back and forth through the bags. And I turned to sprint because we burst out after the drill. And then after that, I turned around because I felt like someone kicked me really hard in my Achilles. So I turned around and no one's near me. Like there's nothing, no situation. And then I was like, okay, no one's near me. Maybe a loose ball hit me really hard. And I turn around again and there's no ball. So I'm just really confused as to what exactly happened to me because this is my first injury and like ever since I became.
You've stayed healthy your entire athletic career.
The entire athletic career, of course.
What was your reaction when you heard the news of what happened?
I was really confused, really surprised. Like I said, this is my first injury ever, so it didn't hit me that something happened to my body in a negative way. And so I was really confused and surprised that this was a season-ending injury.
Speaking of, it is your senior year, as you mentioned. Now you're hoping to get a medical red shirt
Yes,
so that
sir.
you're able to return to the field next
Yes, sir.
season.
Yes, sir. So I decided to take less credits, so I'll be able to come back next fall, get the new locker room and
Yeah.
all the luxuries. So
Yeah, definitely. So how do you see yourself right now, Tariq, your role on this team? You're obviously still going to practice. You're not able to participate, but what's your role right now with
I
this
feel
team?
like I'm just a senior, so I have the type of leadership and type of knowledge to give to the younger players. And so being that when they mess up or when they feel down, I'm there for them. And so also taking mental reps, like I can only do so much. I try and include myself as much as I can, such as being like the snapper for the quarterback in a drill or something along those lines. That's basically my role. And just taking mental reps, like I said, yeah.
For sure. I've seen some video of you at practice kind of hyping the guys
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
Yeah, what's it mean to you to still be, here, be part of
Oh, it feels amazing. You know, you go to bigger universities, bigger teams. You know, when you're injured, people don't really look at you the same way. But around this family, around this community, you know, people still admire me, and I still feel that love and respect from them.
Yeah.
So that's really meaningful to me.
Definitely. It can get not just obviously physically exhausting, but mentally when you're so used, especially a guy like you, being to do anything for yourself and then to have to sit back and say, I need help with this.
Yes.
Was that hard?
That was
help?
actually probably the hardest thing that I've ever had to overcome is being dependent on someone else. You know, like you said, I am like the go-getter. I like to do things all by myself. Even waking up in the morning and like getting clothes ready for school, like she's helping me with that. That's like become something that I have to like lean on, and that was honestly after surgery the biggest thing for me, because being just laid in bed straight for 3 days with like just getting anything from my medicine to going to the bathroom, just having to get help, and it was just really hard for me and difficult for me to overcome that.
Yeah, you seem very positive about this whole situation.
Of course.
What's been the key for you to stay
mostly
so positive?
it was I have a really good mentality when it comes to anything. Like I believe that my mom set this in place, like this is just a minor setback for a major comeback. I've always instilled that within me, within my mentality, within everything I do that gets negatively affected in my life. So I've always had that type of mentality come into play.
Well, thank you so much,
of course.
Tariq, for doing the interview
Of
and just
course.
for taking the time to do this. Heal up, and good luck with the recovery.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Always fun to see Tariq, even under these kind of circumstances. Tariq Ellis, always a smile on his face, and we hope to see him back here at Whitworth on a medical red shirt next year. More to come here at halftime, where the Whitworth Pirates lead the George Fox Bruins 6-0 in the rain in Spokane. Folks, welcome back to our halftime report here on SWX, powered by Fastenal, proud to support our local athletes. And we're at halftime at Whitworth. And yeah, the score on the scoreboard is no typo, 6-0. Pirates leading the Bruins. And Mike Peterson, we mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, in the early stages of this one as well, that the weather would certainly have an impact. And but I think everybody's a little bit surprised nonetheless that we've only seen one score thus far.
Amazing. Whitworth, 150 points. Last two games, 75 points per game, and a paltry 6. But the flip side is George Fox could not muster a single point in the first half.
All right, let's take a look at the first half highlights. And not surprisingly, we're going to see a lot of defense in this one. Leif Erickson had a good shot at the end zone, just threw short, intercepted. The first of 2 interceptions thrown by Leif Erickson, who threw 8 picks all of last season, Mike.
Well, and you can see the ball's not a tight spiral, so it's kind of flopping around. So you can tell right there it's not coming out of his hand clean, and it's floating. And then decision-wise, both those interceptions thrown in double coverage, but looky here.
Yeah, special forces, as they call them at Whitworth, the Pirates blocking the punt, and then a block on special teams again, the field goal attempt, and Whitworth dodging a bullet here, very nearly gave up 2 points there.
That was huge with Erickson stretching the ball, getting out of the end zone, and then what we've seen is just ferocious defense, both sides of the ball. Just no time for either quarterback to get the ball out of their hand.
Quarterbacks under fire. Finally saw the game's first touchdown on that 2-yard run by Braden Corona. That came early in the second quarter with 13:15 to play before halftime. And folks, we have not seen any points since then. Not surprisingly, not a whole lot of eye-popping statistics offensively. Whitworth outgaining George Fox about 2-1 in yardage in the first half, 99-47. You see the 71 yards in the air, 28 on the ground. You might see the script flipped a little bit in the second half. Whitworth penalized 5 times for 66 yards. Just 1 penalty for George Fox, which has played a clean game relative to Whitworth here this afternoon. But Mike, the big one for the Pirates on the punt returns. I mean, you talk about the big play, the 55-yard return. Outside of that, the big plays just haven't been there.
No, they haven't. And let's just break it down. If you look offensively, neither team has been successful at all. Credit both defenses. The stars of the game been defense, so you've neutralized the offense. Special teams, that has all been about Whitworth special teams. And special teams is what set up that 1-yard touchdown plunge, because essentially you're starting with the ball in the red zone, a couple runs, and you're in. So we'll see what the second half brings as well. A lot of adjustments are going to have to be made both teams, and it's going to come down to who controls line of scrimmage. It's old-fashioned football. You got to be able to run the ball.
It's going to be a little slippery out there on the field turf, and don't throw that banana on the course. Hey, folks, you saw the soccer field. We might see more goals scored on the pitch than we see touchdowns scored this afternoon at the Pine Bowl. We're at the half, 6-0 Pirates. Today's keys to the game presented by your local Kubota dealers, Coeur d'Alene Tractor, Adams Tractor, and Boundary Tractor. We take a look at the keys at the beginning. How are we looking at the halfway point, Mike?
Well, let's break this down. As far as controlling the tempo, I guess if you look at time of possession, George Fox has had the ball 17.5 minutes, Whitworth 12.5, but it didn't. They controlled the tempo. It has kept the game manageable and low scoring, which is what George Fox needs to do. Turnover-free football, and they have done that offensively. Laid the ball on the ground once in the running game, recovered their own fumble. Whitworth, on the other hand, you thought this high-flying offense, it has been a George Fox and weather shutdown in the first half. So not the shootout that we've been used to seeing. Ball hawking on D, well, if you look at it as special teams and extension of defense, a blocked punt and a blocked field goal, that is ball hawking, and that has kept George Fox off the scoreboard.
Longest play from scrimmage today so far, 18 yards on a completion from Erickson to Meredith. Not a whole lot of big plays so far. You got to dig deep, folks. We're in the rain, and we're ready for some more football. Northwest Conference Showdown. Winner of this one controls their own destiny for a Northwest Conference title. Second half coming up here at the Pine Bowl, where the Pirates have found the end zone once and lead 6-0. college football on SWX, being brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Sam Adams and Mike Peterson here at the Whitworth Pine Bowl. We're just a couple minutes away from kickoff, and Mike and I, just to let you a little peek behind the curtain, Mike and I were having a pretty spirited conversation about the decision not to go for the field goal for George Fox, instead going for it on 4th down. And my contention, Mike, was that you're throwing in the towel on your special teams at that point. We saw what happened the first time they lined up for the field goal. It was blocked, low kick. But at that point, I feel in a game like this, 3 points could be the difference in a ball game. But you're coming in from with a different mentality.
Well, from twofold. Number one are conditions, and what has been relentless all day today, field conditions in the rain, and we saw a blocked field goal, did not get the elevation. So now as we look at this 4th down play when they went for it, had no chance. So now you're George Fox. Now I would contend in dry or normal conditions, you take your 3 points and you take 6-3 into the locker room. But with these conditions, a field goal isn't a certainty either. So now the decision is, that's why I say 50-50. Do you try to take a shot for 3 points, or do you figure you have just equally a good a shot trying to get 7 points?
My question to you, Mike Peterson, is will we see a field goal attempted by George Fox in the second half? From what we saw going for it on 4th down, I think they've conceded that.
Well, they have if it's a 4th and manageable situation. But if it's 4th and long, so let's say, because the range is certainly there with the George Fox kicker. So if it's a 35, 40-yard field goal and it's 4th and 10, that's where I think you'll roll out the field goal kicker. But I think if it's 4th and short, George Fox has said, we're going for touchdowns.
Well, not a whole lot of offense for either team in the first half. Whitworth has been averaging 57.5 points per contest coming into this one. They will kick off to start the second half. And see, just an overcast day, constant rain. We'll see which team is the last team standing. We'll get a return out from the 8-yard line. This is Garcia. Garcia with a good hole. Garcia still going midfield. And now it's a foot race as he's chased down from behind and finally brought down at the 30-yard line in Whitworth territory. Special teams setting up the Whitworth touchdown in the first half, and now George Fox, the beneficiary of a long return to start the second half.
There's 2 X factors today: relentless rain and special teams for both sides of the ball. And there you have it. What an explosive play for George Fox coming out at halftime.
And that was Josiah Schmidt, I beg your pardon, on the return. Schmidt returning it all the way to the Whitworth 30-yard line. First play from scrimmage up the middle, and that is Garcia, the senior tailback. That was an 86-yard return from Schmidt, according to the stats.
George Fox averaging just over 1 yard per carry. And that's about what they got on that. So this has just been a repeat of the second half. Let's see if George Fox tries taking a shot here.
86 yards, of course, would be an impossible return to the 30-yard line. So we'll see if that stat correction comes up. But a nice return nonetheless. But now it's time for the George Fox offense to try to capitalize and move the football. And thus far, they've not been able to do that.
So 3rd and short. So Sam, what you and I were talking about at halftime is, will we see the field goal unit again for George Fox? This is the area where if it's 4th and say 3 or 4, I could, it's decision time. But
carry on the outside, and it's, he almost sprung it loose. It's the same guy who almost took it back for a touchdown on the kickoff, Schmidt. There is a Whitworth player down as they move the chains. Defensive lineman for the Pirates down at the 21-yard line. Now it's been corrected. That was a 63-yard return on the kickoff. We'll take the injury timeout. Opening possession for George Fox with 13:36 to play.
Don't miss this year's Whitworth Jazz Concert featuring the New York City's famed jazz group Ryan Kieberly and Catharsis. Performing with your award-winning Whitworth University Jazz Ensemble. Concert is Saturday, November 2nd at 8 p.m. at the Martin Wilson Theater at the Fox in downtown Spokane. Tickets to the concert are available at foxtheaterspokane.com and at the Fox Theater box office. Students with ID get in for half price.
Welcome back. Training staffs from both teams, Whitworth and George Fox, tending to the injured Whitworth player. His defensive lineman in the interior, and now being helped up. That is Charlie Bell, number 87, who's had his hand in this one. Rod Sandberg had gone all the way out from the Whitworth sideline. See what was going on as well. We'll try to decipher what happened here on the play.
You just see a lot of bodies in there, and just didn't see anything high impact, and just looks like one of those awkward plays where he just got, there you go, you see him just kind of get hung up in there, and he just slumped down to the ground.
Well, glad to see him walking off the field under his own strength. Really impossible to decipher, but there's a smile from the training staff. He might have tried to diffuse the situation with a little bit of humor, so that is an encouraging sign. There's Rod Sandberg, his team looking to make a stop here as George Fox back in the red zone. 1st and 10 from the Whitworth 18. Sheffy on the run and hit hard at the 17. Big stop there by Kaipo Barnes. Boy, this Whitworth defense, they do it by the rule book, Mike. Everything is just a form tackle.
I was about to say, incredibly fundamentally sound. Their technique is, it's a thing of art.
Gain of 2, 2nd down and 8 coming up. Carry up the middle, inside the 10, down to the 5. Good piece of running there by Schmidt.
Well, George Fox being the aggressor on this drive. That big special teams kickoff return, and for the most part, it's just been run, run, and run.
Good job protecting that football, too. 1st and goal on the Buck 5.
Even when George Fox showed pass, I almost think that was a quarterback draw, fake the pass quarterback draw situation.
Sheffy, the quarterback from the shotgun, with Schmidt behind, next to him, takes the carry. Schmidt stuffed at the 5, nothing there for him. And again, it's Barnes on the stop.
George Fox, as with Whitworth, has been to the red zone twice. Whitworth converted once for a touchdown. George Fox, with that goose egg on the scoreboard, has yet to convert on their 2 trips to the red zone.
See Barnes shaking off the cobwebs there. Gain of 1, 2nd and goal from the 4. Late coming in, Whitworth defender, that's Bertelli, a freshman defensive end, as they get a line. Up the middle, They got a yard or two, but met by a wall. That was Jack McLeod, a senior defensive tackle, number 99.
That is a beautiful defensive adjustment because 2 Whitworth defensive players came off, including a defensive back, to get your bigs in there with the assumption George Fox was going to run, and now here's the switch out again, defensive back in. Now we have a potential passing situation. You want to look for number 4 for George Fox, 6'3", top of your screen, fade route, top corner.
3rd and goal from the 2. On the back pylon, and is caught for the touchdown. And who else? Leon Johnson, number 4, the freshman with a touchdown grab. We are tied with a point after pending.
There's your go-to guy. George Fox loves that matchup with that lanky 6'3" receiver. If you throw it up there, I tell you what, you throw it in the right spot, that is very difficult to defend. Well executed.
We have not seen a kick go through the uprights for either team thus far, whether it's been on field goal or PAT. This one, though, is good. And for the first time, George Fox has the lead, 7-6, here on a picture-perfect throw. And Mike, you talk about the matchup. They love that size advantage.
Well, and that's 6'3" going against 5'7". So as a quarterback, if you throw the ball to the proper window, it's going to be a catch or incomplete. And in that case, he hit the window. Excellent catch. And George Fox, just like that, they've got the lead.
And credit the freshman Johnson there on your screen. Remember, this is in rainy conditions. That football is slippery out there, Mike, and it just stuck between those 2 mitts.
Well, I'll tell you something that oftentimes goes unnoticed is a quarterback capable of throwing a catchable ball, not only throwing window, but a tight spiral. And look how tight that spiral was. If it flutters, oftentimes a flutter can hit your hands not clean as a receiver, and it can make it very difficult to catch, doubly difficult in these situations.
Corona and Cole, the return men for Whitworth. Special teams has played a big role in this one. Return from the 7. And shy of the 30-yard line, the return by Isaiah Cole. 35-7, Pacific leading Lewis and Clark early in the 3rd quarter. That's in Oregon. Puget Sound leading against PLU 24-13 coming out of the halftime. And Linfield all over Willamette late in the first half, 42-0. But our eye, of course, on this one, 7-6. Pirates trailing for the first time. Corona with a little stutter step, gets past the line, gains 1.
Corona the ball carrier, tackle on the play by Daniel Campos.
Sam Rain just continues to drizzle down, so conditions, they're getting worse, not better. And I'm looking at that leather football for both teams. Those are waterlogged footballs at this point in the game.
2nd down and 9. Erickson trying to set up a screen. Well done as Corona gets it. They disguised that very well.
They did. At first, thought Corona might be able to burst away from the lineman, but George Fox defenders converged very quickly from the backside.
4 yards to go, and they got it. Well, let's see on the spot. At the initial spot, might not favor Whitworth. Let's see, and they will move the chains. On the far side, the line judge, I thought, had it lined up where he was going to be short. Another look here.
Right at the line to gain, but you can see Erickson actually turn and kind of go more in that curled up position rather than stretching the ball. Made it close.
Low snap. Erickson recovers nicely, throws a little wobbler. Those are dangerous. Incomplete, intended for Jerusalem To'o.
Well, and Erickson did the pump throw in there, the pump fake, and I'm not sure if he didn't like his initial read or if he lost his grip on the ball. But I want you to pay attention the rest of the game, how the ball comes out of the quarterback's hand. Is it a wobbler? Are they able to throw a tight spiral?
2nd and 10 as Erickson now 8 for 19 throwing the football. Erickson complete. A yard shy of the first down to Corona. And we're seeing the running back really involved in the passing game.
Yeah, and it's got to be short because the ball is wobbling out of the hand, and that's tough duty with a waterlogged, slick football. And just if the ball is wobbling on a 9-yard throw, imagine what's going to happen on the deep and intermediate throw. So you got to stick with the short passing game. That's what I'm seeing here. I think you're really rolling the dice trying to throw intermediate and long.
Against Whitworth. The 15-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Wow, and we did not see that penalty marker. It was obscured by the Whitworth sideline. Boy, oh boy. So sideline infraction against Whitworth, and that is huge.
Well, and I think the flag came from the field judge, who is about 20 yards downfield, so I definitely was not thrown by the line judge, who was on the line of scrimmage.
3rd and 17 coming up. Another low snap on the shotgun. Throw over the middle, tipped, and incomplete. So that penalty is setting Whitworth back, and that'll prompt the punting unit to come on 4th and long.
I tell you, both defensive coordinators, it's become predictable, and it's because it's working well. If it's 3rd and long, both defensive coordinators are saying, we are bringing the house, we're going to blitz, and you're going to have to get rid of that ball quickly and advantage defense.
There was Campos on the rush with a hard hit, number 44. Northwest Conference leading tackler on the year. Garcia fields it off the one hop, and he is clobbered at the 30. Special teams, they call them the special forces here at Whitworth. That was Derek Platt, who's had a special kind of game on special teams. 9 minutes to play here in the 3rd quarter. Hard hits all the way around in a 1-point game.
Football action presented by Numerica Credit Union all season on KSBN 1230 and on the web at ksbn.net. Bud Nimick, the voice of the Pirates, brings you every play. The radio broadcasts are made possible in part by Avista, Wendy's Restaurants, Geico, and Protein Puck. Top 25 scoring update. 25th ranked Washington, 28. 12th ranked Oregon, 21. 8 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. And with 12 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter, 19th ranked SMU, 24. Temple, 14. Northwest Conference football action. Pacific 35, Lewis and Clark 7 early in the 2nd half. At halftime, Puget Sound 24, Pacific Lutheran 13. And late in the 1st half, Linfield 42.
This portion of the game on SWX being sponsored by Dishman Dodge, Ram, Chrysler, Jeep. 38 yards on the Noah Alejado punt. 0-yard return for Anthony Garcia, who got blown up by Platt on that play. George Fox starting this drive with 9 minutes of play in the 3rd. Short throw kicked off the heel top there.
Empty backfield, which surprises me the way George Fox established the run on the opening drive of the 2nd half. They go to empty backfield and throw it, but it was a well-designed play. Ball was just misfired. Otherwise, it was a catch and plenty of room up the sideline.
Sheffy now 5 for 11 throwing the football. Both quarterbacks today predictably under 50% on completions. 2nd down and 10 from their own 31. They go to the ground here, and that's Garcia, and not a whole lot of room to navigate for him. McCoy and others in on the stop for the Pirate defense. Boy, number 3, McCoy, having himself a day, Mike. He is a force.
He is a major force in there.
No gain. There is McCoy, who's coming off a 2-sack effort. He's got another one here today.
Well, there's been no answer for his speed off the edge.
Sheffy taking a shot downfield. Here's his arm, and there's the catch. No, they say incomplete. He dropped the football, and slow getting up is Evan Nelson.
And that ball was beautifully thrown on the money. Nelson had it, but you've got to, it's a continuation. You got to complete the act of the catch, and the ground ended up being the second defender. You'll see, he catches it cleanly here, and then boom, hits the ground, squirts right out.
Taylor Colsty will return from the Whitworth 30. If they get the punt off, barely got away, end over end kick. This one will die near the 30. And actually on the 31-yard line, and that's where the Pirates will take over, trying to get this offense going. And Leif Erickson, 9 for 12, 83 yards. 2 early interceptions, has been error-free in that regard since then. He's also rushed for 19 yards. Corona has had a hard time running today in these conditions.